Assalamu alaikum. This is a follow-up on the previous topics I've just finished. And the name of this surah is Al-Kafirun. And it's from the very short ones in the back. And I find that this blends very well with what I had just told you about how can any proclaimed professed Christian accept what's going on in Gaza. When all Muslims, even the tiniest little children who start out at the age of 3 or whatever, they memorize the small chapters, the small surah in the back of the Quran. You know, they start off, Kul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Kul huwa Allahu ahad, and then they go in the direction towards the longer surah. So this one, I'll say it, and you all already know it. You don't even have to use your translated Quran. But let's talk about it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. Kafirun is the plural form of kafir, meaning disbelievers. And disbelievers in this sense comes from the root kafara, which means to cover over something. So these people are disbelievers, but they do not necessarily admit it. So they could also have an aspect of a munafiq, where they say one thing and they do something else. However, the scholars have come to the conclusion that it's not just a mere disbeliever. It's a disbeliever who's dangerous and misrepresents Islam, works against Islam, and is truly headed for the hellfire. So Allah says here, Qul. And we know that the command Qul has been used more than any other command in the Quran. Qul. Say it out. Say it. Don't be afraid. Say, Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, oh you disbelievers, la a'budu ma ta'budun. I do not worship what you worship. Wala antum abiduna ma a'bud. And you don't worship what I worship. And then it's repeated again. Wala ana abidu ma abadtum, what you worship. Again, wala antum abiduna ma abud. You don't worship what I worship. Lakum, for you, deenukum, is your, and deen means what you forbid and what you allow. It's not just, deen does not simply mean how you pray and how you fast and how you dress. No. The word deen literally means ماذا يحرم وماذا يحلل, what you allow and what you forbid. And that's why Maliki Yawm ad-Din is Judgment Day, when you are judged on what you did. Now, Lakum dinukum waliya din means you have your deen, we have our deen. So, when Allah says Qul, the first word is a command. So now, I ask you, should there be a problem with Islamic dawah coming in strength to America, especially right now, when we have enemies coming out of the woodwork? I mean, they're trying to find, who are they? The enemy. The Kafirun, yes. They are trying to misrepresent Islam for every tiny little instant that they can discover that something might be connected to those scary, evil Muslims, when in fact they know that we are not evil. They know that we are on the straight path. See, this is the meaning of the kafir. These are not some, let's say, uninformed, uneducated. I don't want to use bad words. I mean, some words immediately come to mind, but I try not to use English euphemisms because I don't think it's polite. There are people informed and educated, and there are people who are not. No, these kafirun, they're probably the best and the brightest of their evil empire. So, since when did they think that they control the universe when Allah has told them how many times? Allahu Rabb as-samawati wal ard. He, the Rabb, that word means he organizes, he determines, he keeps things in place in the universe. So the Rububiyyah aspect of Allah is that he does what he will everywhere to everyone in a fashion of like organizing things for them, keeping them safe, giving them their sustenance, allowing them to have the opportunity to breathe. That's the Rububiyyah. But the Uluhiyyah, that's really what causes some of the issues where people don't understand it. That's the one, comes from the word Allah, Uluhiyyah. Hear it? Allah. That's who you worship. That's who you obey. So when you think about it, many accept the Rububiyyah. Oh yeah, Allah's up above. He's controlling the universe. He doesn't let the stars fall down over our heads. He keeps the tide back so we don't get all flooded out. He's a Rabb. But the Uluhiyyah, doesn't he deserve to be worshipped as he wants you to worship him? God's prayers. It's not so hard. Doesn't he want you to worship him, bowing down, putting your head on the ground in sujood, in recognition of his might over you, life and death? So think about this tiny little surah and qul, tell them, I don't worship what you worship. I don't gamble. I don't like alcohol and drugs. I don't like dancing in the disco. You know what I mean. I'm speaking here mainly to fellow Americans and Europeans. The Muslims who are wayward, you know. I'm not saying you're Arabic language experts, but you do know because you hear the adhan all day, every day. Allahu Akbar! Don't you get it? You should start getting it because we are at the brink of a huge change. I prefer to believe Allah is going to give us another chance. I do not want a world war. I don't want one American soldier going anywhere to fill the pockets of corporate interests, mainly arms dealers. Who are we protecting and why? Ask yourself. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.